Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to discuss the major astrological energies of October 2024, where we start the month with a Libra solar eclipse. We're going to have Jupiter station retrograde as well as Pluto station direct. We will see Mercury enter Scorpio, Venus enter Sagittarius, and we have quite an emotional Aries full moon occurring this month as well. In addition to those transiting aspects, we're also going to see Jupiter retrograde make a sextile to Chiron retrograde for about 3 weeks in October, and we'll be touching on that. Plus, we have an interesting dance between the planets in water signs making this long-term water grand trine, and I will explain that more as well in this show. And as I was preparing for today's show, of course, I was looking at the energies and trying to determine the best way to summarize them for you. And I would say that we're really going to be harmonizing and balancing our emotional and mental bodies this month. There's going to be perhaps some big swings of energies. There are periods here that look tumultuous, that look quite destabilizing even. And it will be up to us to find that internal balancing point where we come back to our own space of neutrality, calm, peace, harmony, and deep, deep trust in the bigger picture. That is one of the significant themes we're riding through at this time, is that we can't always see the long term play out, of course, but we can manage our energy in the moment. We can be present with our hearts, our spirits, our wisdom, and we can also dig in to the strength of our soul mission and soul purpose in this lifetime. Understanding that we're here for a purpose, we're here for a reason, and that those reasons can be so much bigger than what we initially anticipate or expect. October brings about opportunities to deeply process what has been anchoring you to the past, what has been anchoring you to a previous version of yourself, a previous level of consciousness, maybe even a previous concept of self that you've actually outgrown. And this could be a month where you see that more fully. You understand, I'm really past that. I'm really not connected to that energy, that experience, that part of myself anymore. And I feel that one of the major themes here of October, especially with this Libra solar eclipse that's happening at 10 degrees of Libra on October 2nd. This particular Libra solar eclipse is conjunct the South Node, Black Moon Lilith, and Mercury, all in Libra. So we have a focal point of Libra energies, and this is a new moon solar eclipse working with that South Node to set you free, and I believe there are significant soul contracts ending. They are done, they are complete. Maybe they surprise you in their completeness. Libra is contracts, trade negotiations, problem solving, diplomatic solutions. This Libra energy is showing us what is done, what is expired. It's expired at a spiritual level. It's expired on your path. And because it's a new moon, it also asks you to be a new version of yourself now and to own it. So with these soul contracts that are ending, over, expired, who are you now? What do you claim now? What are you moving towards now? Because that North Node in Aries wants you to feel independent, courageous, and brave, wants you to feel strong in who you are becoming, as well as accepting everything that has shaped you and formed you along the way. So it's looking at this Libra solar eclipse with an understanding that the endings are real. There isn't even energy for some parts of your life anymore, especially where these Libra energies are in your chart by house placement. You're going to experience some significant turnovers here. And again, these soul contracts are no longer active. I'm actually seeing them at a spiritual level. I'm seeing these energies are dissolving and fading out. I'm seeing that red expired stamp being put on these contracts. This is a turnover in connections, relationships, partnerships that are not traveling with you. And that's because Libra is about one-on-one connections that are equal. And if there is that lack of equal giving and receiving, you're going to feel it and sense it. Chances are it's already been something in the works, especially since a year ago. October 2023, when we had our first Libra solar eclipse in the cycle. So this could be something you're already contemplating and aware of, and now the energy is truly closing out and over, and you can feel stronger and more certain about it as well. So the month begins with this very strong influence of the Libra solar eclipse. We also have a water grand trine occurring that begins this month and plays out into the middle of October. So this water grand trine involves Venus in Scorpio, trining, Saturn retrograde in Pisces, trining Mars in Cancer. These energies are strongest right after the Libra solar eclipse, and it's happening at 14 degrees to 16 degrees in your chart in the water signs. And this is a conversation between all three planets in the water element, helping you flow and move with whatever has been stagnant or stuck, especially emotionally. And with Saturn in this conversation, Saturn is stabilizing the emotional flow, giving you a sense of this is what I need to process and move through. This is right on time, and I feel strong to handle it, to flow with it, to trust it. And I see this flow of energy being really helpful in filtering out the excess emotions and debris so that you can claim the wisdom, the emotional wisdom that a water grand trine offers. Now, after these energies are exact with Saturn in Pisces, then Venus moves on and Mars moves on, and they start to make a second water grand trine with Neptune in the late degrees of Pisces. Neptune is retrograde, moving from 28 to 27 degrees of Pisces this month. And before Venus and Mars move on to their next astrological signs, they will also have a connection to Neptune, which grants them a feeling of karmic completion, a feeling that you've really taken something out to sea. Neptune in Pisces is the ocean, is the depths of the sea, and is all the parts of the ocean that we haven't fully explored, we don't fully know. So here we have Venus in Scorpio is going to trine Neptune retrograde. Then Mars is going to trine Neptune retrograde. You could feel deeply cleansed, lightened, and more in touch with your higher self into the middle of October, as both Venus in Scorpio and Mars in Cancer will surrender at a deeper level through these trines. It will feel easier to do so, like it's right on time, I'm ready. Please take this away. And so all of this brings up here, through the first half of October, what do you understand you are energetically complete with? Yet you can find peace with it. You can hold an equal, fair balance of the energy. Even if it rocks you at times, or even if you feel like there's more layers of it that you're digging into and exploring, there's a higher sense of karmic completion that sets you free. And that would be one intention to hold for this Libra solar eclipse, is that you're willing to be in a higher balance in yourself. And I'm saying higher because I see the energy in the crown chakra. We associate Libra with the scales of justice, but I'm seeing that energy up in the crown chakra, where it's a spiritual equilibrium. It's a sense of intuitively understanding perhaps what you have been balancing or working through across multiple lifetimes outside of this particular timeline. And it can be hard to put it into words or even logically understand. But there is an energy from a higher presence guiding this development. That's what I'm feeling around this. So trust if it resonates, and if it doesn't, then don't force it. But that's how I'm seeing this energetic alignment here as we move through, especially the first half of October. Now, also a part of this signature is that Jupiter stations retrograde at 21 degrees of Gemini on October 9th. And as Jupiter does so, there is an exact sextile to Chiron retrograde in Aries at 21 degrees. So we have this beautiful supportive connection between Jupiter in Gemini, which is spiritual growth, wisdom, bigger belief systems around what you've been learning, especially in Gemini. What you've been stepping into and expanding, especially through the Gemini energies of the mind, details, specifics, what you say, what you think, and how all of that creates not only your thought patterns, but your belief systems, and how those belief systems are landing in your daily life. How they're showing up, how you are perhaps actively living those energies, or perhaps being too distracted by everything going on around you, or too easily influenced by the energies in your daily environment. As Jupiter stations retrograde on October 9th, making the sextile to Chiron retrograde in Aries at 21 degrees, there could be some beautiful new insights into what you really need. Not what you thought you needed, not what you thought you should do, but really digging into a truth about who you are now based on what you've been healing. And this feels beautifully supportive, and the energy is active October 1st to October 19th. That's when it's exact. So we have these 3 weeks of Jupiter and Chiron, both at 21 degrees, supporting each other's journey, both retrograde. So the energy is being internalized. You're calling it back to yourself. And this could be a beautiful exercise to do, where you call back all parts of yourself that are healed, that are clear, that are alive, that are grounded. You call back more of your energy that is supporting the true essence of who you are, and you're allowing it to reintegrate into the mind, where that Jupiter in Gemini can be always on the go, on the run, the next thing, and in fact miss the present moment. So this Jupiter is needing to slow down in Gemini, needing to catch up with yourself. This could even be taking a physical stop and looking around at what is happening all around you and determining, do I need this? What is true for me? What is the best choice? And you might find yourself making choices with the assistance of this Chiron retrograde in Aries that is directly connecting you to what you really need. What are my true priorities now? What really connects to who I am and feels good, especially as it supports the healed parts of myself. So I personally love this influence here for October of this Jupiter retrograde sextiling Chiron retrograde for most of the month. Now, on October 11th, we have Pluto stationing direct at 29 degrees, 38 minutes of Capricorn. The exact station direct happens at 8:32 p.m. That's Eastern time. And oh my goodness, this Pluto stationing direct is a big deal because it signifies a turning point of deeper completions, more truth being revealed, more powerful revelations coming to the surface, because Pluto has been holding those secrets. Pluto loves secrets. Pluto trades in secrets and wants to know everything that's happening behind closed doors. And since the beginning of September, when Pluto re-entered Capricorn, we've had very big revelations on the world stage around what's really going on in terms of power, control, hidden agendas, secret societies, extortion, manipulation, bribery, and blackmail. All of it is coming out. Although actually it's too early to say if all of it is coming out. Certainly a lot has been revealed. And even the fact that numerous CEOs have stepped down, that is Plutonic energy in Capricorn. Leadership changes, endings, and ongoing investigations are all prominent now. So as Pluto stations direct October 11th, expect more to come to the surface that Pluto has been keeping behind locked doors and in hidden vaults. And in fact, Pluto has been keeping this information for years. I mean, some of us have known about this stuff since 2017, 2018. And then when we had the Saturn conjunct Pluto in January 2020, that was a really big deal in the changing of the guards, in karma, in reality checks, and a lot going on behind the scenes that was not made public, certainly was not in the mainstream. But we're entering more of this territory of truthful revelations that are very uncomfortable, horrific, traumatic, extreme. And we're also seeing how Pluto works. Pluto works at the very deep levels, often through hidden, clandestine moves, with the intention to dig in to an energetic truth, driving intentions, and subconscious motivations. October and November are going to be very big Plutonic months. There's going to be a lot of Plutonic energy happening across these 2 months. There's going to be a lot more coming up. I'm seeing literally from the depths of the earth. And it's going to stir up a whole spectrum of feelings, emotions, and reactions. So we're in some real Plutonic energy right now. And that means we also have the opportunity to power up in our soul's wisdom and in our consciousness, knowing that we are here for this. We are holding certain energies on the planet that are needed at this time. We are grounding in to the light grid more of the balancing high vibrational energies that are needed, especially as Pluto excavates. So even if it feels that the Pluto energies are taking over, this is when we consciously balance it with more light, shining brighter, powering up with a deeper trust in the universe that everything is unfolding in divine timing. And it's up to us to manage our energy as we move through these grand cycles. And keep in mind that can be messy. That can be emotional and uncomfortable. So don't hold yourself to a ridiculous expectation, perhaps a feeling that you should be completely detached or you should only be love, light, and bliss. That's not realistic. Rather, it's knowing that whatever you're feeling, whatever you're moving through, you know you're also able to balance it in the ways that are appropriate for you, so that you don't stay off balance and you don't stay too deep in one side of the energy field. I've been getting a lot of messages about the roles of light workers are really turning up, are really coming to fruition. That this is now a time when the light workers are true leaders, true healers on the front lines. And maybe you think, I don't feel that way, Molly. I don't know about that. I'm saying energetically, that's what's happening because of the healing work you've been doing, the areas you've been working through and exploring in yourself. Your level of self-knowledge is higher than ever. Your ability to work with energies and to integrate more of your own spiritual tools and wisdom is exactly what's needed at this time. So as we move through these energies that are really at war with one another, there's a very intense, deep interaction between energetic extremes right now. And so it's up to those who hold the light to turn it up to 11, to really put on those high beams and to ensure that you're in that place of empowerment for yourself. knowing that's part of your soul mission and your soul purpose. Light workers are energetically designed to go where it's the darkest, to go where light is needed, to go into places where you're pioneering new roads and pathways that are needed and that then allow more people to follow, that opens up those pathways with greater light and allows those higher vibrational energies to flow through. October and November are going to be big months for this particular soul assignment. Now, also in October, we're going to have Mercury enter Scorpio on October 13th. Mercury is now moving fast again, moving at about 2 degrees a day. And so as Mercury enters Scorpio, you might feel that you're deeply processing at a faster speed. Mercury in Scorpio is the investigator and the detective. I feel that it also could show up as your intuition is heightened. You're just getting downloads, insights, and some really surprising intuitive hits much faster. And that's because not only is Mercury moving faster, but Mercury's digging deeper. So stay mindful of what you are mining. Mercury in Scorpio is that gold miner where you do have to move through a lot of trash and rubble to find the gold. But when you connect with it, you feel it, you know it, and you resonate with it as a truth. Then on October 17th, Venus enters Sagittarius on the same day as the Aries Full Moon, which happens at 24 degrees of Aries. So I want to talk about each of these developments here. Now, during the Aries Full Moon, Venus is in Scorpio, sextiling Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees for the very last time in our lifetime. That's probably going to be a phrase you hear a lot because it's the last time these planets are interacting with Pluto and Capricorn. Now, Venus in Scorpio, she's delivering something that is important for Pluto and Capricorn to understand and to know. And I feel that this particular Aries full moon is quite emotional. It's intense and it stirs up a lot. Now, it's happening at 24 degrees of Aries, which means it's exactly conjunct Eris. Eris is at 24 degrees of Aries and is beyond Pluto. She has more of a Plutonic influence and she connects to the parts of our feminine energies that were thrown out by the patriarchal systems. Eris is about rage. It's about the parts of herself she wasn't able to fully express. It connects to how we have felt rejected for our deep emotions and how that energy can take a chaotic turn. Eris in Aries is very competitive. She can be filled with rage and driven by rage. She can be associated with violence and destruction, and she will stir up warlike energies. So this full moon is conjunct Eris, also conjunct Chiron, retrograde at 21 degrees of Aries, which can stir up a rewounding. It can stir up something that you have to revisit during this Aries full moon, something that maybe you thought you were complete with, and it's coming back around, but it's coming back around so that you can acknowledge how you have shifted and changed. Now, with this full moon at 24 degrees of Aries, it is squaring Pluto at 29 Capricorn, squaring Mars at 22 degrees of Cancer, and of course opposing the Sun at 24 degrees of Libra. So here we have a cardinal grand cross, which has a lot of energy to it because each of the 4 cardinal signs are initiators. They are known for initiating each of the 4 seasons of our calendar year, and they want to begin and get going on a new intention. But here we have 4 parts of your chart, 4 parts of your consciousness holding a very different intention. The emotions are high, reactions are high, defensiveness is high, wanting to be protected is high. And that's because all of this energy in Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is in Cancer. and approaching his exact opposition to Pluto, which will happen on November 3rd. So we're in a build-up phase here to that opposition. And basically, this is a very tumultuous Aries full moon. We do have a supportive sextile from that Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, as I mentioned earlier in the show. So that is supporting the intention to gain clarity on what you're thinking and what you need to express or say. That Jupiter in Gemini is also trining the sun at 24 degrees of Libra, but that is actually a lesser imprint and influence than this very dynamic cardinal grand cross. You could feel the need to take a stand, to fight for something. You could feel revved up around an area of your life that maybe you thought was calm and clear. There's a highly triggered energy here, but you can use that trigger as a catalyst for next level growth, for it to reveal how you really feel. And I feel that is one of the best messages of the Aries full moon, is that there can be something that triggers you into revealing you're really upset about something, you're harboring anger, you have rage, you have an intense emotional reaction that you can't deny. So then the cosmic gift is to move it. Move the energy, flow with it, allow it to be something that you harness and you work with powerfully, so that you're allowing these developments to support you at a deeper level of your being. And that's another signature here, is that this energy isn't particularly conscious. And that's because of the influence of Eris in Aries and the square to Pluto in Capricorn. There's a much bigger story here across multiple lifetimes, a much bigger sense that there's been a lack of justice, a lack of recognition. It's interesting because I feel this Eris in Aries, she can be so short-sighted, so subjective, and very selfish. I mean, this is a very selfish energy signature that doesn't see the ripple effects of herself. So wherever you have 24 degrees of Aries, this conjunction with Eris is asking you to take a step back and move to the sun in Libra balanced perspective that pulls in greater objectivity, that reminds you it's not just you, it's not just about you, your experiences, and your world, but to look at how you can see it from a more detached energy field that doesn't overwhelm you. I mean, this is the energy of big riots, of violence, of disruptive revolutions. But if they don't have a plan, or if they're not well harnessed, they don't go anywhere. Eris is known as the goddess of strife and discord. So the energy of discord is certainly ramped up. There can be a lot of pissed off people here. And when I look at this Venus at 29 degrees of Scorpio, sextiling Pluto at 29 Capricorn during this full moon, there is an intense awareness around the power of our emotions, the responsible management of emotions, the ability to feel what we feel and not lose our mastery, not go into previous versions of ourselves that take us back to the hurt inner child, the unhealed sense of self, to not revert back to previous versions of yourself, but rather to meet this energy as you are in your current state, in your current power and authentic vibration, which I feel leads to new developments and new outcomes. So that's going to be part of the growth here with this intense Aries full moon, is to meet whatever it is for you, the trigger, the chaos, the discord, the rejection, whatever it might be, to meet it from a higher version of yourself. This is again at 24 degrees of Aries and opposing the sun at 24 degrees of Libra. This is a more mature degree point. This is asking you to be in that more evolved state without overly personalizing anything and managing your feelings and your reaction around it. And then later on the same day is when Venus enters Sagittarius. She does so at 3:28 p.m. Eastern Time, and that shifts the energy to the higher perspective of Sagittarius, asking us to sit with something and contemplate where we want it to take us, where you want to go with it. This also brings in more connections to your spiritual growth, as well as action and movement, which occurs whenever a planet enters a fire sign. So this Aries full moon at 24 degrees on October 17th is a big deal. And it's also going to turn things up. There is going to be an increase in the emotional energy on the planet, and we will need to be aware of that so that we can also, again, going back to the theme of balance, balancing yourself with your own spiritual practices, with your understanding of energy and the power of intention, the power of action, the ability to be a master here instead of an apprentice. Then following the Aries full moon on October 22nd, we're going to have the Sun in Libra square Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees for the very last time in our lifetime, and then enter Scorpio at 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time. So October 22nd is an intense day. Power dynamics are in play. There might be choices you don't want to make, but you have to make. There can be things coming up that you have to take care of. You have to get it done. And yet that Sun in Scorpio moves us into conviction, passionate action, a sense of I'm going to take this on. I'm going to see it through. I'm going to get it done. Scorpio is driven by that emotional fuel. So it's looking at the intention of the emotional fuel. Is it about powerful actions and transformation? Is it about I'm going to own this? I'm going to be a master at this. I'm really going to harness this with the best I've got. Sometimes that Scorpio energy is very low vibrational and it's motivated instead by pain, anger, revenge. It can be so dark and fearful that the fear motivates it. So I feel that October 22nd is going to be a day when we come into a deeper truth around what's motivating us. And then throughout Scorpio season this year, we're going to see that energy really come alive. We're going to meet new parts of ourselves. We're going to understand where our subconscious goes and what emotional imprints have left their mark and are still showing up within us. And then we can make new choices. And I feel that this is always one of the gifts of Scorpio season, is that we tap into more magic that we didn't know we were holding. We go into more of our intuitive and psychic abilities, and we understand how they can guide us through some of the darker passages that Scorpio always leads us through. Now, keep in mind, I've only touched on the major astrological transits of the month. There are many more transits occurring throughout October, and I will go over them on the Wednesday podcast episode. That's where we discuss the weekly energies, and that's where we'll touch on more of what Venus and Mercury are doing this month, as well as Mars and the Sun. So please be sure to join me for those Wednesday shows. Also know that eclipse season doesn't fully end until November 1st. So October begins with a Libra new moon solar eclipse. Then the energy gets revved up at that Aries full moon on October 17th. Then the energy of a new cycle will start on November 1st with the Scorpio new moon at 9 degrees 35 minutes. So throughout October, we're in eclipse season. And the energies, again, they're big, emotional, intense, transformative, powerful. We're moving through terrain we've never been in before. And yet it's right on time when you consider the Earth's evolutionary journey and the energies that have been on the planet. We are moving through a very deep purging and cleansing. We're also being called to be more active and empowered with our healing gifts, our light, our capacity to hold love and compassion, as well as full ownership over who you are now, as well as who you are becoming, which is often quite life-changing for many of us. So be sure to incorporate your spiritual practices and your spiritual tools as needed. Be sure to ground in and stabilize yourself accordingly. And also be sure to acknowledge yourself. Recognize the strength and power it takes to be a human on the planet at this time, because it's certainly requiring a lot of us to be stronger and brighter, as well as courageous and brave. If you are in my 2024 Soul Growth Astrology program, be sure to sign back in so that you can check out what this Libra Solar Eclipse is bringing up for you, as well as review the healing themes of this eclipse season, which might make more sense now, especially since we're really in it. And I also just released a brand new astrology course that helps you identify the universal spiritual laws in your chart. This is a really cool way to sync up the energies of the cosmos with your particular astrology chart and to understand what you innately access, where some of these spiritual laws just happen more effortlessly for you, and identify the ones that perhaps you need to develop a deeper connection to and more practices with. We are always connected to all of the universal spiritual laws, and at this time on the planet, when we need to be more intentional, this can be a very cool way to look at your chart through a whole new lens, where sure, you know where your Mars is, you know where your Sun is, you know what your 10th house is about. But when you add in these universal spiritual laws, new things start to click, and you understand some of your previous choices or some of your previous life experiences. And then you're also digging in to more of your own authentic frequency through your cosmic codes. The universal spiritual laws is something that I have studied and worked with since 2002. That's when I was first introduced to them through my spiritual teacher and mentor. That's where she opened up this whole world of energy to me that was wildly bizarre at first, right? Do you remember when you started learning about the law of attraction, which of course became really popular with the movie The Secret? But these are all entry points into more of our true power as creators, as energy masters, as divine beings who embody God codes, cosmic codes. So I hope this gives you new insights into your own cosmic frequency and also helps you connect some new dots in your astrology chart. So be sure to check that out. Again, it's called Your Cosmic Codes, 12 Universal Spiritual Laws in Your Astrology Chart. You go through 12 spiritual laws in part 1, and then in part 2, I guide you through how to sync it up and connect it, exercises, things to be aware of, especially with outer planets, what to do if you don't have certain spiritual laws highlighted in your chart, and so on. So I hope you enjoy this, and it was a joy for me to create it because it really gives you a sense of empowerment into more of what you are creating and manifesting in this lifetime. And as always, I'll put the link below the podcast here so you can go check out the landing page and more details about this online program. I will see you on the Monday and Wednesday podcasts. Thank you for joining me. I hope that October is a beautifully empowering month for you and that it reminds you of how far you have come on your journey as well. Have a beautiful month ahead, and I'll see you back here really soon. Take good care.